All right, let's dive in. We're about to go on a pretty wild journey, from ancient crumbling ruins all the way to the future of our global economy. And we're going to try and answer one really fundamental question. What does it actually take for a civilization to last?
So let's kick things off with a bit of a mystery, one that's literally etched in stone. What can the silent ruins of civilizations that disappeared long ago really teach us about the challenges we're facing right now? Well, it turns out a lot more than you might think. Just think about it. You've got these incredible Mayan temples literally swallowed up by the jungles in Central America. And then, halfway across the world, you have these haunting, iconic statues on Easter Island, or Rapa Nui. Both were home to these super complex, thriving societies, and then they just weren't. What's the connection here? And look, this isn't just some cool history lesson. These stories are timeless warnings. They're about the incredibly fragile relationship between any civilization and the very land that it depends on to survive. Take the Mayans. It was like a perfect storm of problems. Around 900 AD, their population was just booming, but their farming couldn't keep up. So what did they do? They started clearing forests on steeper and steeper hillsides. And you know what that leads to, right? Massive deforestation, and then the soil just washes away. So when the droughts came, and they did, the Mayans had nothing left in the tank, no resilience. Food ran out, which sparked civil wars, and eventually, this amazing civilization was just reclaimed by the jungle.
The story of Easter Island. Wow, that one's even more of a gut punch. You look at those massive statues, and you just know it took a really organized, complex society to create them. But when Europeans showed up in 1722, they found a pretty barren island with just a handful of people struggling to get by. The prevailing theory? They chopped down every last tree. No more wood for canoes to fish or to move their statues. Their food sources just vanished. And here's the kicker. They were totally isolated. There was no out. It's like a tiny, perfect, tragic experiment of a world using up all its resources.
So for thousands of years, stories like these were local, isolated tragedies. But in the last century or so, that all changed. That same pattern started to happen everywhere, all at once, on a planetary scale. I mean, it's like someone hit the fast-forward button. The sheer scale and speed of our impact on the planet just exploded. What the Mayans and the people of Rapa Nui did to their little corners of the world, we started doing to the entire Earth. And there's a name for this crazy period, the Great Acceleration. If you look at graphs starting around the 1950s, pretty much every metric of human activity, population, how much stuff we consume, our energy use, it doesn't just climb, it goes nearly straight up, like a hockey stick. It was a moment unlike any other in our species' history. It's gotten so intense, actually, that a lot of scientists are saying we're not in the Holocene epoch anymore. They believe we've kicked off a whole new geological age, the Anthropocene. Think about that. It means that we, humanity, are now the single biggest force changing the planet. More powerful than volcanoes or even ice ages. So how do we wrap our heads around this risk? Well, scientists came up with this idea of 9 planetary boundaries. Think of them as the guardrails for a safe planet. Things like climate stability, biodiversity, fresh water. Together, they create a safe operating space for humanity. And those red zones you see? Yeah, that's where we've already blown past the safe limits. We're in the danger zone now, where things can get really unpredictable. But here's the thing. This isn't just about the environment. It's not just about polar bears and rainforests. At its absolute core, this is an economic problem. We've literally built our entire modern world on a massive economic blind spot.
And you don't have to take my word for it. Even top business leaders like Paul Pullman, the former CEO of Unilever, have said it loud and clear. He said, "We cannot choose between economic growth and sustainability. We must have both. It's not one or the other. True, long-lasting growth absolutely depends on a healthy planet."
Okay, so what is this huge missing piece in our economic puzzle? What's the one critical asset we've just completely failed to put on the balance sheet? It's something called ecosystem services. And really, it's all the stuff nature just gives us, for free. The clean air we breathe, the fresh water we drink, the fertile soil that grows our food, a climate that's actually stable. Our entire global economy is built on this foundation, on this natural capital. But because it doesn't have a price tag, we've treated it like it's worthless. And the cost of that mistake? Oh, it's absolutely mind-boggling. Studies have tried to put a number on it, and the value we lose every single year from destroying these natural systems is somewhere between $21 and $72 trillion.
That is a massive chunk of the entire world's economy, just poof, gone, vanishing because we're trashing our most valuable assets.
But you know what? It doesn't have to end like Easter Island. Let's look at another island story. Iceland. Centuries ago, they had a very similar problem. Their sheep were overgrazing the land, destroying the fragile soils. But here's where the story changes. Instead of letting it all collapse, the farmers actually got together. They created grazing quotas, managing their shared land sustainably. And guess what? They saved their environment and their economy. Their wool industry is still thriving today. They proved a different path was possible.
And really, that's the exact same choice we're facing right now, just on a global scale. The goal isn't just to slam on the brakes and stop the damage. It's about actively rebuilding. It's about shifting from an economy built on degradation to one built on restoration.
You know, Teddy Roosevelt said something over 100 years ago that just nails it. He basically said there are two kinds of farmers. The poor one skins the land and leaves nothing for his kids. But the good farmer leaves the land a little better than he found it. That's it right there. That's the core idea of stewardship.
And that's what this whole idea of landscape restoration is about. It's so much more than just planting a few trees. It's about healing entire landscapes, bringing back their natural functions so they can provide all those vital services again. And at the same time, creating real economic opportunities for the people who live there.
This right here, this is the goal. This is what it looks like, a restoration economy. An economy where people doing well and the planet being healthy aren't fighting each other. They're two sides of the same coin. An economy that actually regenerates wealth by restoring the health of our world, instead of just extracting it.
So look, the warnings from history couldn't be clearer. And the challenge we face today is enormous. The question for all of us isn't if we need to change anymore, it's how. We proved we could build a mind-blowingly powerful global economy by taking from the planet. The great test and the great opportunity of our time is to prove we can build an even better, more prosperous one by giving back.